Hello, my name is Raven. I am the author of Growing Big in Love. Most of you watching this have been searching for the answers to life's most important questions for a good part of your life. And these are big questions like, why am I alive? What is the purpose of Earth? Why do I have pain? Why is there so much pain? In this video, I'm going to give you the most powerful answers to all of those questions you have ever heard. I know you spiritual quest lifetimers are thinking and hoping, is he going to teach me something new? I've been to so many seminars and webinars and workshops and classes and read so many books. Can you teach me something new? Well, unless you know me or you've read my book, you're about to hear 8 concepts that are not only new to you and the world, but 3 of them are so powerful and life-changing that they are worthy of changing the world in so many ways. I would compare it to like one of the most incredible inventions that has changed the world is the electric light bulb. Well, growing big in love is that big. It not only lights up our darkness with love, but it opens us up to the wonders of love. And there are countless wonders of love. It's amazing. So in my book, there are 7 love tools. It will take you about 2 months to master using the tools. Once you do, it will take another 2 months for you to learn how to master becoming love yourself, being in love every moment of every day. Can you imagine what that would do for your life? It is a whole new way to live. It's exciting, majestic, it's big. You've never experienced anything like it, and you could be experiencing it in 4 months from now. That is super cool. In a moment, I'm going to teach you the first love tool. Most of you will be able to experience and feel the tool working in your body immediately. And we will discuss why this particular tool is one of the most powerful tools on the planet. Then I'm going to systematically teach you about the metaphysics of the concepts called love reversals. Once you understand how love reversals work in your life, it is going to completely change the concepts of healing pain and disease for all people around the world. The knowledge of love reversals gives us a new understanding of why the earth is here. It's that big. From this day forward, you'll be able to understand that pain and disease is not something to be feared, but through the power of love, it is to be embraced so that we can understand it, learn what it has to teach us, and heal it completely. All pain and disease are messages that we are doing something unloving and or we are not in integrity. And as you learn how the metaphysics of pain works, you'll gain the choice to change the course of your life so that you can learn to live in love and integrity moment by moment, day by day. In this video, I will mention that I'll mention what all 8 of the new concepts are, but I'm only going to focus on 3 of them so that when you're done watching the video, you will have a new understanding of the possibilities that await your extraordinary life. So let's get started with the first love tool, the loving smile. I like to help all of you create an experience for yourself so you can feel how powerful a loving smile is. What I'd like you to do is to sit up straight, breathe deep and strong, and make your body feel relaxed. And then close your eyes and think of something that makes you feel so much love, it puts a smile on your face. You might think of hugging a child or your lover or a pet. You might think of watching a sunrise or sunset or standing next to a waterfall, whatever it takes to make you feel happy and just beaming with love inside. Now, most of you are smiling now. Make sure your teeth are showing. Now, without changing anything about your posture or your loving smile, see if you can make yourself feel sad. Don't change your smile. Isn't that amazing? You can't do it. Let's do another one. Get even bigger in love. Make yourself laugh or feel silly, whatever it takes. Get a big smile on your face. All right, now everybody's smiling. See if you can make yourself feel angry. Isn't that amazing? You can't do it. That is the power of the loving smile. It's a principle that works across the board, the same for all people. It's so powerful. Now, up until this point in your life, you've probably been using a loving smile as a reaction to things that make you feel good. That's great. Keep doing that. But now, because you understand how this principle works, you can use it proactively to add love into your life. Have you guys ever had that experience where you're sitting in a room and there's a bunch of people in the room and everybody's just kind of minding their own business, doing their own thing, and somebody comes in the room and they're lit, they're just happy, they're excited, and you can watch almost every single person's face in the room turn to smiling. Well, now that person can be you. You can light up rooms anywhere you go with your loving smile. The cool thing about this is that the smiling part isn't even the biggest power of the loving smile. The biggest power of the loving smile is understanding that when you're smiling big, your spiritual heart is open. When your spiritual heart is open, it allows you to feel love in any circumstance. When your heart is closed, you're feeling pain. So when you're smiling, your heart is open, you're aware of the wonders, the beauty, the magnificence of the world around you and within you. When your heart is closed, you are focusing on very narrow and painful perceptions of the world around you. When you are smiling and your heart is open, you are in love. When you are not smiling, your heart is usually closed, which means you're in pain. It's a choice. Open is laughter and silliness, playful and wonder. Closed is depression and fear, anger, jealousy, guilt, shame, feeling sorry for yourself. Open is strength, compassion, gratitude, embrace, the awareness of awe. And closed is frustrating, arguing, fighting, war. But now that you understand the loving principle, it's always a choice. This is why the loving smile is one of the most powerful tools in the world, because it mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and literally shows you that your heart is open. And if you are lovingly smiling, then you are in love and you are choosing to embrace the endless power of love to become all you can be. That is so cool. If perchance you were not able to achieve the loving smile in the exercise we just finished, do not be alarmed. Some people are in so much pain that they are not able to achieve the loving smile. And if you continue to watch this video, the reasons you cannot achieve a smile at this time will become apparent. And if you work with me, read the book and take the classes, I will be able to help you heal your pain so that you can smile all the time. So when a person smiles, they actually gain 8 benefits all at the same time. And those benefits are one of the things that we study on the first week for homework during the course and the second class. But one of the benefits is that when you're in a big state of love, when you're feeling a lot of love in your heart, it enables you to know the truth about things. So you can be big in love and ask yourself any question, and you will know the truth for yourself. And if you don't automatically know the truth for yourself, your intuition will move you to find the right answers for yourself, as long as you stay in love. For this reason, throughout this video, you're going to hear me say, let's get really big in love, which is your cue to smile really big and to try to make yourself feel the most love you can feel. Then each time I will reveal an example of ways to use your loving smile to enhance your life. And while I do this, you're trying to be in love will enhance your experience of the knowledge I relay next to you. It will enhance your ability to feel if it is right for you. So let's get really big in love, and we'll delve into what is a love reversal. In order to explain love reversals, I will start by teaching you the basic metaphysics of what is pain to us and how does it show up and manifest into our lives. Aside from the physical pain we feel in our bodies, we experience pain mostly as unloving emotions. Did you know that every unloving emotion is a different type of pain? Think about it. Fear, hatred, jealousy, greed, anger, shame, loneliness, hurt. Every single unloving emotion is a different type of pain. And we experience those emotions because inside of us, we have literally hundreds of unloving beliefs. And as we're going through our day, an unloving belief is triggered, it makes us feel the pain. So I want to create an experience so you can see how that happens to you on a daily basis. What I would like each one of you to do is, again, sit up strong, and think of a time in the last 2 or 3 days where you felt angry or frustrated. Now, in a second, I'm gonna say go, and I'm gonna count to 5, and I want you to relive that experience just for 5 seconds, just long enough so that you can feel where the pain shows up in your body. I don't want you to experience it longer than that because I don't want you to get re-triggered, but I just want you to feel it for long enough to feel where the pain shows up in your body. Ready? Go. Stop. Where did that pain show up in your body? Now, when I'm doing these classes, I ask a bunch of students where the pain showed up, and they'll tell me it showed up in my gut, it showed up in my legs, it showed up in my chest. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of experiencing these things. Myself, I feel anger in my gut sometimes. Now we're going to create a different experience, and I want you to use an experience that happened that created the same emotion, but is a different experience. For example, let's say the experience I used was I got triggered because someone cut me off while I was driving, and it made me angry. So I want to use a different experience. So this time, my mother was talking with me the other day, and she started coming down on me, and that made me angry. See, those are 2 different types of experiences that created the same emotion. So I'm going to say go. We're going to relive the second experience and see where that pain shows up. Everybody got their experience? Go. Stop. Where did that pain show up? Okay, if it showed up in the same place, raise your left hand. And if it showed up in a different place, raise your right hand. Isn't that amazing? In a room of about 100, I've found that about 80% of the people, it'll show up in different places, and the other 20% is the same place. So now you have just experienced how emotional pain shows up as physical pain. Isn't it amazing how fast the pain showed up in you? Just seconds, as soon as you started feeling the experience. And this is happening to all of us all the time, every day. All the people on the earth are running around every day, getting triggered and are feeling the pain. And it causes so many different kinds of diseases and painful conditions like acne and eczema, headaches, stomach aches, backaches, pain in your elbows and your hands and your knees. It's the foundation for accidents. So this is a really big deal to understand. Our pain comes from unloving emotions, and our unloving emotions come from unloving beliefs that we have inside of us. And every time we trigger an unloving belief, we feel the pain somewhere in our bodies many times a day. Okay, so let's get really big in love. For those of you that take on this practice of growing big in love, the more you do it, it makes it easier and easier to see those unloving beliefs inside of you. So this becomes very helpful when you're trying to find those beliefs to heal them. The love that you're growing into is a contradiction to the unloving parts of yourself, so it just makes it easier to see them. So everybody get big in love, and we'll go into the next concept, which is, what is a love reversal? When a child experiences something unloving repeatedly, many times a day, day after day, for years, the child becomes accustomed to the unloving pattern in the sense that the pain becomes familiar, habitual, known. The child then can misinterpret the unloving act as love when it is not. This is a love reversal. So an example of that would be, say you had a child that was raised by parents that yelled at them, screamed at them, and hit them. So this happens many times a day, day after day, week after week, month after month. The child becomes so accustomed to being treated that way that it actually becomes familiar to the child. And as a child grows older, they would actually attract people to their lives to abuse them in the same way they have been abused. They could misconstrue this abuse as love because their parents, that's the way they took care of them. This abuse gets so, the love reversal gets so strong that if a person came into the child's life after they're older that actually had true love for them, they would probably shy away from them because the love would be so foreign to what they're used to experiencing. So one of the biggest things to understand about love reversals is that they can make us numb to our pain. When a person experiences trauma, their body goes into shock. One of the biggest qualities of shock is that it makes us feel numb. When we experience a type of trauma over and over, day after day, we become numb to it. This numbing quality is a big factor as to how we become accustomed or used to the pain. Every time a child experiences trauma, either through physical, verbal, emotional, mental, sexual, spiritual, or metaphysical abuse, or any combination of those abusive actions, their body goes into shock from the trauma of it, and their body becomes numb to the pain because of being in shock all the time. I have had clients who could not remember any of their childhood because there was so much numbness. This numbness and pain also makes it difficult for them to be playful. They were never able to relax, and that state became normal for them. It's as if they were shell-shocked throughout their entire childhood. So this numbing quality of love reversals effectively hides the pain we should feel when we act and react in unloving ways. Without this guidance system, it is very difficult to know the difference between right and wrong. Love reversals can actually be even stronger than instinct. When a child is going to get beat, they know it's coming, and their natural instinct is to run or hide or what they call fold or freeze. And fold is like they just pass out. Occasionally, a child might do that if the trauma of being beat is so bad. But normally, the child can't do any of those things. They just have to take the pain. So the pain that creates the love reversal is actually stronger than instinct. Our instincts are there to protect us. They are there to help us preserve our lives. Since love reversals can be stronger than instinct and are the opposite of love, the love reversals lead us into a distorted view of the world and are the underlying cause of obsession and justification. And it's through justification that teaches us that we can act and react in unloving ways and not be aware of the consequences. In fact, every argument, every fight or war that has ever happened because of a love reversal. For instance, if a parent gets angry at their child and they're in the influence of a love reversal, they don't even realize how angry they are. And they don't realize that their anger is hurting the child because they're numb to it. So love reversals cause us to hurt the people that we love. Love reversals can be radical and they can be subtle. The one that we just talked about was a very radical love reversal. And I'll give you the example of a subtle one. My mom used to have this mantra, well, money just doesn't grow on trees. And so as a child, that was very shocking when I would be in a supermarket and I'd grab some cereal and she'd take it out of my hand and she goes, do I look like I'm made of money? And she would come at me with that attitude all the time. And to a child, that's shocking. Well, it happens so much that when I grew up, I felt like there was never enough. When I was trying to raise my children and I was creating my own business, I was always terrified I didn't have enough. So that's kind of how a love reversal works in a subtle way. Later on, I will show you how to heal that belief of there is not enough. I'm going to use that one as an example. The awareness that we are so numb to the emotions that we should be feeling is the most powerful thing to understand about a love reversal. It is the reason why there is so much chaos in our lives and in our world. It is the cause of addiction. It is the foundation for the manifestation of feeling justified. It enables us to hurt the people we love. It is the foundation for obsessions and the reason our prisons and mental hospitals are filled with people who do not understand their own actions or why they feel the way they do. The science of understanding love reversals is something every person in the world is going to want to master, because it is only through truly understanding them that a person can find them in themselves and do the work of healing them. This awareness, coupled with growing big in love every day, will do more to help heal the world than any other endeavor you could take upon yourself. Okay, it's time to get really big in love again. For most people, it is easier in the beginning to get physical when they are trying to get big in love for longer and longer periods of time. So let's try it. Everybody start smiling really big as you take a moment to get up and move around, get your blood flowing, stretch your body. And as you are doing that, take the wonder of the creation of life that is all around you. And as you're moving around and walking around, I want to say a couple things about the courses that I teach. I usually don't do this much talking in the course. My classes are very interactive. During the weeks, we do a lot of homework. There's an hour of homework per day, 4 or 5 days a week. So when we come back to the classes, we take time to share what it was like to do the homework, to learn how to use the tools, how they worked for us, how they didn't work for us, the challenges that we had, and the ahas that we experienced. So I enjoy that part of the class where we're interacting with each other, and it's a good way to create community of like-minded people. Okay, so those of you, you can keep stretching if you want, and you can just listen, because the next thing we're going to talk about is Earth's objective. The wonders of life are absolutely mind-boggling. We can hold our hands in front of our faces and purposely wiggle our index finger back and forth with ease, although we don't even begin to know how to create the atoms that make up the cells, that make up the skin, the blood vessels and blood, the bones, the muscles, nerves, and tendons that it takes to move our finger. It just appears that we are moving our fingers back and forth, but we don't have a clue as to how it's really being done. Everything around us is being created so eloquently as to give us the experience that we are living our lives, when in truth, we do not know how we move or talk or think or emote or ponder our own existence. When we observe all these wonders that life has to offer us through the eyes of love, the wonder, beauty, excellence, and genius just seems to expand in every direction, moment by moment. It's all magical and it's amazing. It just keeps expanding forever and ever in every direction, and it is so glorious that it boggles our minds. But here on earth, there is also the other side of love, which is pain. The metaphysics of the energy of love are designed so that if love is misused, it creates different kinds of pain. And for every kind of love, there is an opposite painful side that hurts us when we see, feel, or experience it. And for thousands of years, we keep asking ourselves, why are we here? Why do we have to experience so many kinds of pain? Well, if you had the job of teaching a brand new soul how to understand the uses of the energy of love, how would you do it? How do you teach a new soul how not to misuse their energy in any way, not to hurt themselves or anyone else? Could you set up a program that would show them all the hundreds of thousands of ways they or someone else could misuse their energy and have them watch it? If you did that and they spent years studying the program, watching all the ways the misuse of energy causes pain in themselves and other souls around them, would they really be able to learn from just watching? Or would they need to actually experience the pain that is caused from the misuse to truly understand? Well, if you look around you at the condition of our world, it's not hard to see how the divine creator answered that question. For the past 10,000 or more years, we as a human race have been living through a state of ignorance that has enabled all of us to learn firsthand what happens when a person misuses their energy. The list of the atrocities that we as people have had to experience is daunting. And the list is so long and big that it is a wonder that billions of us still get up every day and try to create a better day than the one we had yesterday. It's through the presence of the love that is within us and all around us that gives us that drive to keep moving through the pain that we experience while we are here. As it turns out, we are being given an extraordinary opportunity. It is essential that a soul needs to experience the pain that is caused by the misuse of energy so they can understand it completely, so that they will know how it affects them and others. Up until now, this has been the purpose of Earth, to give us all this experience. It's essential that a soul needs to, the divine creator is now providing us the knowledge that will enable us to learn how to focus on love moment by moment and how to heal that pain within us. If we learn how to become love and heal our pain, and then do the work of growing in love and healing daily, we will be able to develop the strength of character to never create that pain again. This taking action to grow in love and to heal our pain is what creates loving intelligence. It will enable us to develop the loving wisdom needed to become a creator ourselves. I'm going to say that again. It will enable us to develop the loving wisdom needed to become a creator ourselves. That's where we're headed. That is so big. The benefits of taking action are so big that it's enticing 8 billion souls to come here to experience it. Experience equals knowing, and a soul cannot move forward and harness the power of love until they know. This is Earth's objective, to provide new souls with the opportunity and experience to master being love. Due to free will, it's a choice that each one of us is being offered. If you choose, then my book, Growing Big in Love, has been written to show you how to focus on love every moment of every day to become strong in love. You'll learn how to heal all of your pain through understanding and action to gain that loving intelligence, and how to create an intimate personal relationship with the divine creator. The divine creator is love, and developing an intimate relationship with them could be the most amazing thing you ever do for yourself. If a person chooses to make all three a daily practice, their life becomes filled with discovery and purpose. The outcome is glorious. Get really big in love. Love, the bigger you get, it helps you become more aware of the wonder of who you are. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the love healing process. The love healing process, I believe, is the most powerful healing process on the planet, because Once you heal a belief and the habits that go with it, you're done for life with that old belief. It makes you more intelligent. You can feel yourself getting smarter. Every belief and the habits that go with it that you heal, you just feel yourself getting smarter and smarter. And I love that part. It is super cool. So there are 3 stages to using the love healing process. The first stage, you will start out with a belief that you want to work on. We're going to use, I'm terrified I don't have enough money. And so what you'll do is you get really big in love and you set the intention to heal this unloving belief you have in yourself. And you start off by setting an intention to find, where did that belief start in your life? So you'll be looking for the initial trauma or series of traumas that started that belief. And so we use a process called VI, voice activated integration, which just means that you use your own voice to communicate with your inner conscious. And so you set the intention and you say the words, can you please show me where this belief started? And you give your body a moment to react. And generally, it'll just show you right when it started. So for me, it was a series of traumas. It was my mother, and I saw myself when I'm 2, 3, 4 years old, and I'm in the supermarket, and my mother's like, well, money just doesn't grow on trees, and put that down. And she had that attitude all the time. So that's a series of traumas that created this belief. An example of an initial trauma would be like for a different kind of belief. Well, there's actually one I could use for myself, although it didn't start that way. When I was 3, my parents bought me my first bike, and I had it for 3 days, and then it was parked behind my uncle's truck, and he backed over it and ran over it. And they couldn't get me another bike. They didn't have enough money to get me another bike. So I was devastated. Now that could have been an initial trauma that started that fear of there's not enough. So that's how it works. Once you understand where it started, the knowing where it started helps you understand how the belief came to be. And that's important because once a belief is created, your body will create many traumas, which is similar traumas all throughout your life to prove to you that the belief is true. So the next thing you do, you now know what belief you're working on, you understand where it started, you get really big in love, and you say, is this belief true? And as soon as I said the words, I started seeing how ridiculous that belief was. There wasn't one time in my life where I didn't have food, money, clothes, places to live. Even when I was homeless with my brother, we always had enough money to buy food, and we had clothes, and the hardest thing was finding a place to take a bath, but I always have been taken care of. So the first thing I understood about that belief is it absolutely wasn't true. And it was almost hilariously not true because I have been so taken care of my whole life. So when you're using this process, every time you get big in love and you ask if an unbelieving belief is true, they never are, which is astounding. So that's the third part of stage 1. Once you figure out that it's not true, then you get really big in love and you start going through the process of what we call grokking, which is you're trying to understand, how did this belief how did pushing up against that fear of not having enough affect me all of my life? And so I'm looking into the things that it taught me. Most of the things came when I was older, when I was raising my children, when I was creating my own business. Because I was pushing up against that fear, I created a very professional business. It's like I learned through experience that the more professional I was, the happier people were with me and the more work I got. I learned that the better quality of workmanship that I produced made people happier, and therefore I got more work. So I was professional, I did high quality work, and I carried myself in a way that made people feel like I was confident in knowing what I was doing, even though I was terrified all the time. So these are gifts that I gleaned from pushing up against that fear all my life. And those gifts are so powerful, and I've taken them with me. I still have them. Even now, I don't have the fear. And so it's almost like pushing up against all that fear was kind of worth it, in a sense that it taught me how to be professional and integrous, and how to create a really amazing business. I had one of the highest quality painting business in my area by far. I was considered an artist. I was a color consultant, and people came to me. I was the person people would come to after other contractors had messed up. So it served me really well to push up against that fear until I healed it. Now I still have all of those same qualities, and I don't have the fear, which is amazing, and it's fun, and it's awesome. So that's the fourth part. The next part is you get really big in love, and you can choose to change the story. Now that you don't believe the old belief, you have your new truth that there is always abundance. I've always had enough money. I'll always have enough money. You can create a new story to support your new truth. As it turns out, for me, I didn't need to do that, which was really funny, because while I was being raised, we always had food. We always had nice clothes, nice places to live, good schools. We had epic Christmas celebrations. We never were lacking for anything. But that was my mother's fear, and I took it on 100%. So other people in this part of the process, like for instance, say you had a parent that didn't pay attention to you, and so you had a belief that you're not worthy of being paid attention. No, how would I say that? You were not valued. And so if you had a belief like that, it might be fascinating to change the story that you are amazing, you are wonderful, you're extraordinary, you're a goddess or God. And so you might want to change the story to support that, and you might relive being raised by a parent that loved and supported you all throughout your days. That would be a really great feeling. So some people like to change stories or make stories, and some people don't. That's an option that you have. So the last part of the stage one is to get really big in love, and it's time to release all of the energy that old belief has been holding in your body. Up until the point where you understood the truth, you had fear every time you pulled out your wallet, you thought about work, you paid bills every time. I had fear all the time. And that fear gets caught up in your body, just like you experienced earlier when you got angry and you felt it in your gut or wherever you felt it. So now that you don't have the old belief and you know the truth, you can release that pain that's been held in your body all that time. So the release that we do is you do it with intention. You ask the divine something like this: please let me release all that fear out of my body, since I don't believe it anymore. And the truth is, I am abundant. So allow that fear to release out of my body. And we do the release very similar to an animal doing a release of trauma. If you saw a deer is standing in the road eating grass over the guardrail, and you come up in a car and you see the deer and you slam on your brakes and you just miss the deer. That deer gets totally traumatized because of the bright lights and the sound of the brakes, even though it didn't get hit. So you'll see the deer go into shock, and they're just like barely walking, and they walk off. And when they walk off into the forest, when they get to a place where they're comfortable, their body will start shaking, and it'll just shake in all different ways. And they'll just release all that energy out of their body. And when it's done, then they go off and they're on their normal way. If people didn't develop beliefs about trauma, they would release their pain in the same way. But people develop beliefs about their trauma that holds the trauma in their bodies. So once the belief is gone, you can let the trauma out. And so you'll set the intention to release the energy, and then just let your body do its thing. And everybody has their own way of doing a release. Some people will shake, and some people will make noises. If you're making noises, you want to make sure that the people around you know what you're doing because it gets really weird, or it could get really loud. I've had clients that had to release rage, and they would just scream at the top of their lungs, and we would make sure they were in a place that was safe to do that. So every release is different, and every release is different for each person. And it's amazing what some of them look like when it's happening. But when it's over, you get the sense of, oh my God, it feels so good to get that out of my system. It's amazing. And then you get really big in love, and you celebrate you're done with your first stage 1, or however many this is. So that's a stage 1. That's the kind of work you would do in one day once you get it down. Sometimes it takes 2 days to do all that work. But once you get it down, it starts getting easier and easier. And I recommend that everyone journal their experience, because recording these things it's priceless. And as you get deeper into healing, more and more and more beliefs, things overlap. And so it's really good to have everything written down in a way that you can understand it and go back and find what you need. So as stage 2, you would start the next day. And the stage 2 is healing the many traumas that belief created all throughout your life. So every time a belief is created, it creates many traumas to prove to you that it is true. So I already told you about the mini trauma I had with my bike. That happened when I was 3. And I didn't have very many more mini traumas until I was an adult. When I was adult, the mini traumas became endless because I didn't know how to run a business, and running a business and learning from scratch, there were so many mistakes. And every time I made a mistake, I'd be terrified that I wasn't going to make enough money. So what you do is you think of the first trauma that comes to your mind. And so like the first trauma that came to my mind was when I was 24, and I had my business for about a year, and we painted 3 houses with this product that we used as spackle, and it failed. And so 2 years later, I ended up having to paint 3 houses for free. And that was like mortifying. And so what you do with the stage 2s is you do everything you did for the stage 1 for each mini trauma. And so it gets easier and easier as you go along. And what you'll find is that sometimes when you when you heal a mini trauma, you'll find a gift that you didn't find when you healed the initial trauma. So you want to write that down, and that's super cool. But you do, you do the same process. You you let yourself open to feeling the trauma, and then you realize that it's not true. Of course, you already know that, but then you grok, how did that trauma affect your life? You change the story if you want, and then you release the pain. So after you've done that 4 or 5 times with a belief, it starts getting redundant. So then is all you do is you look for the mini traumas that still trigger you. And once you've found all of them, you can usually do that within a day or two if you're spending an hour a day working on yourself. Once you've done that, then you're done with stage 2. So that's super cool. Stage 3 is you get really big in love, and you go inside yourself and you find what were the habits that belief created in my life. And so that belief created quite a few habits for me. My biggest one was every time I went to write checks to pay my bills, I would get terrified I wasn't going to have enough money. Every time I grabbed my wallet to pay for something, I'd get terrified I wouldn't have enough money. Every time I did an estimate for a job, I'd get terrified. Pretty much every day driving to work, I would get terrified that I was going to make a mistake, or there wasn't going to be enough materials, or I underbid the job. It was just an endless array of terror. And so this is how love reversals act in your life. It's like there's so much pain, but you don't feel it because it's normal. And so I just lived with this pain for years, and it created headaches, it created pain in my body, it created stress. And then once I healed it, oh my gosh, it's like I got a part of my life back. And it makes me stronger, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel healthy. And let me show you how I healed the habit of paying my bills. This is the second part of stage 3. So first you discover your habits, then you figure out what loving tools am I going to use to help me heal those habits. So when I was going to pay my bills, I decided to use loving sounds. The way loving sounds can work is that I developed a mantra inside my head that I have lots of money and I love paying bills. And so when I'm on my way to get my checkbook, I start using that mantra in my head. I have lots of money and I love paying bills. And I keep saying that because the fear automatically comes up into me like it always have in the beginning. And I go and get my checkbook and my body's filled with fear, but I'm using the mantra, I have lots of money and I love paying my bills. And then I would get my first bill and it'd be to PG&E, and I'm like, oh, awesome, I get to pay PG&E. I was able to have air conditioning this whole month and it kept my house cool, and I love that. And I would keep up this self-talk, this loving self-talk, so that I wouldn't feed the fear that I was feeling in my body. And it took like 3 or 4 months of paying bills. But after 3 or 4 months, I actually started having a lot of fun paying bills without the fear in my body. So that's how I healed that fear of paying bills with my checkbook. So you do the same process with each habit. You figure out love tools that you can use so that when the habit comes in, you already know what you're going to do to heal it. And then you can put, for some of the beliefs, you can put the dates on your calendar when you're going to need to use those tools, because you know in advance when you're going to get triggered. For those kinds of things you don't know in advance, it's just something you have to be aware of, that you need to use those tools when you're going to get triggered by the old belief. And then if you're consistent, usually within 2 or 3 months, You are healed completely. You know you will always have money. You'll always be happy about paying bills, about spending money. I love to give people big tips just to watch their faces. I love doing that. I love budgeting money so that I know how much I can give people tips. I've learned to love every part about money, about making it, spending it, having it, and it's amazing. So that's the stage 1, 2, and 3. And if you do all 3 stages, pretty much you can do one belief a week if you're doing 2 to 3 hours of work on yourself a week. And so every time you heal a belief and the habits that go with it, it's done for life. You feel yourself getting healthier, more intelligent, and definitely happier. So that's incredible. So what I want to do next is I want to tell you about a story about a woman that had a cyst in her throat. It was about the size of a golf ball. I'm going to tell you this story so that you can see how the healing process works with people that have disease. It's very powerful. So this lady's name was Dot. She had this cyst growing in her throat and had been growing there for about a year. It was getting so big that it was affecting the way she talked and when she ate, and it was just really uncomfortable. And her doctor and her acupressurist told her that she needed to have it surgically removed. And she was terrified to have that surgery. It is a very complicated surgery. It would have left her scarred on the inside and the outside of her throat, and she was terrified. And so she was looking for other modalities of healing, and someone told her about me. She called me up and said, could I help her? And I said, well, let's try and see what happens. She was one of I think the 3rd person I ever worked with. And so she came over, and when I opened the door, you could see the cyst. It was very noticeable. And she let me touch it. It was as hard as the bone on my elbow. It was really hard. And it was you could see it, like, it was like, wow. So I brought her in and I had her give me some history about her life. You know, how did she get along with her mother and father? What kind of discipline did they use? And I explained to her how that I use Vi to help people, using her own voice to access her inner conscious. And then we did a session. And so we set the intention for her to figure out how to heal this cyst in her throat. And we asked her to go back and find where did the initial trauma happen that started this belief, or that started the pain that she's having, this growth in her throat. And it took her back to a place where she was 8 years old, and she had had this experience, and her father misunderstood what happened. And she went up to stand up for herself, and her father shut her down so violently that from that day forward, she was never able to speak up for herself. And so she found herself surrounded with people that abused her quite often. And because she wasn't able to speak up for herself, the abuse just kept going on and on. And that's what was causing the cyst to grow in her throat. So I asked her to teach me how one of the people that was abusing her the most, how they treated her. And then I asked her if I could treat her and let her speak up to me the way that she possibly could, because I'm not someone that, you know, has anything against her. And so she agreed. She taught me how they treated her, and I started treating her that way. And she started telling me off We were both amazed at the things she had to say and how it came out. It was just like opening up this volcano. So after that experience, I sat with her and I showed her the power of her loving smile, and I showed her how that she could communicate her needs and to other people in a loving way, and help. And her homework was to go and to speak up to all the people in her life that were causing her pain. And when she walked out of the house that day, she looked like a different person. So 2 weeks later, she comes back, and we worked together for about 6 weeks. But when she came back 2 weeks later, she had stood up to every single person that had been abusing her. And she looked like a different person. Her cyst was about half the size it was when she'd been there 2 weeks ago, and it was soft like the muscle. And so we continued working on teaching her how to grow big in love, and for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then she was off on her own. That cyst completely disappeared in 9 months. It was gone. And one of the cool things was that after 4 months of her working on herself, of growing in love, she started having spontaneous love experiences where she'd be walking through the forest and just have love just completely immerse her in love. And she'd never had any type of experience like that. She was 52 at the time. So that's how powerful this process is. It shows people that anytime they have a manifestation, a disease, some type of body condition, that they're being created by unloving beliefs and habits. And once you discover what they are, it gives you the choice to change them, and it changes your life. It is an amazing thing to experience. Okay, let's get really big in love again. It's pretty easy to see that getting big in love is a big part of healing, because most of our unloving, our diseases and our pain is created through unloving habits. And so we heal those by developing loving habits. And so getting big in love is the main way to make that all happen. So let's get big in love. And now we get to talk about my favorite part of all of this. It's about the connection with the divine. So the love tools and the love healing process, when they are used together at the same time, create a dynamic that is extraordinary. So what I mean by that is, if someone tried to use the love tools to where they are learning how to focus on love every moment of every day, that is an extraordinarily powerful state of being. Because it's adding so much love into their life continuously, it shows them all the unloving parts inside of them. If they are not actively healing those unloving parts, it gets more and more difficult to add love. It kind of lowers the ceiling, so to speak. On the opposite end of that, if a person is trying to heal their beliefs and the habits that go with them without growing in love, they cannot get to the deeper pains. And there's a strong possibility that when they're trying to get into their deeper pains, they're going to get re-traumatized by the trauma that they're looking into. So getting big in love keeps a person from getting re-traumatized. And of course, that is relative to how long they've been getting big in love and how deep and painful the trauma is. But if a person focuses on the love and they're healing parts of themselves for a time, they will be able to get so big that they will be bigger than any pain they've ever experienced. So when you do them both together, it makes you naturally aware of the wonder of who you are and what you are. And so this dynamic of growing and healing and becoming aware of who and what you are naturally makes you aware of the divine creator, because they are creating you moment by moment. So let's see how intimate that really is. If you were to move your finger from here to there, what has to take place in order for that to happen is you have to have electrical impulses go from your mind through your body to exactly the right nerves, tendons, and muscles to get your tendons to contract and your muscles contract and push. Every pulse of electrical energy has to be exactly the right amount. It has to start and stop exactly at the right time in order for the movement to be smooth and precise. Now, we don't have a clue how we're doing that. It's being done for us. And as you're watching me, you can see that there's a lot of movement going on in just my body. You're seeing my eyes blink. You're seeing my mouth move up and down, my tongue. You see me breathing. You can be aware that my heart is beating. And for every single one of those movements, that electrical energy is going through our body, pulling and pushing on tendons and muscles. And it's happening in so many ways. It's pumping the blood through our system. It's changing the carbon dioxide into oxygen and oxygen into carbon dioxide. It's moving the healing process inside of us and the digestion process inside of us. It's enabling us to see. We have no idea how we can see, but when our eyes are closed, it's dark, and when our eyes are open, it's filled with color. We have thoughts coming through us. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, the thoughts are just coming and coming and coming and coming. We don't know how to create one thought, and yet they just keep coming and coming. We're being thought. We're being moved. We're being seen and heard and smelled, and the taste that we can, oh my God, to take a bite of creme brulee is like, oh my goodness, the sensations that go through us. And all of those sensations are from those electrical impulses. So if we become aware of how much life is being done for us in every moment, it's pretty easy to see that we have an extraordinarily intimate relationship with the divine. We've never been alone. There's no way we could be alone because we don't know how to think or breathe or beat our hearts or any of that stuff. There's a chapter in my book that's called How to Communicate with Your Guides, which means how to communicate with the divine creator, or the one, the energy that's creating you personally. And if you read that chapter in the book, there's different ways to learn how to communicate. I learned this communication process when I was 32. And this communication that I have with my guides, I call them guides because it's comfortable for people to hear that instead of saying God or Jehovah or whatever belief you have about what you call them. I like divine creator. I have names for each one of them. There's a number of them that talk to me all the time. And can you imagine having this intimate relationship with the one that's creating you, where you can tell them that you love them and you can feel them loving you or hear them tell you that they love you? It's so amazing. And so the bigger you get in love, the more intimate this relationship becomes. Because when you are being in love, when you are choosing to smile, you're activating love within you. Love is the divine creator. They are love. And they have only put pain here to teach us how to become intelligent enough to live our lives without hurting ourselves and without hurting anyone else. And so when we start this process of growing in love, actually doing the work every day to grow in love, and actually doing the work to heal ourselves so we become more intelligent, more integrous, more in love, it's the most amazing thing that you could ever do for yourself. If you never did anything else but develop this relationship with the divine, it would be the most amazing thing you've ever done for yourself. I pray that you'll join me in learning and growing and then going out and playing. There's so much fun to be had. So may you get really big in love. And this, I'm coming to the end of this video. I told you that I would share what those 8 new concepts are. The 8 new concepts are, the first 3 you already know: love tools, love reversals, love healing process. In the book, there's also a new understanding of the mind. Wow. A new understanding of how your memory works. Wow. Our memory is so much a part of who we are. It's amazing. There's a new language, a new language of the body called sensate. And that language is super cool because it helps us discover, when people have diseases, it helps us discover what the beliefs are that are creating the disease. Very helpful. What is a transition phase? You'll have to get the book to read that one. And how does karma work? I did research on trying to find out what is karma, and there's not very much out there about it. And the reason for that is because people haven't understood love reversals. With the understanding of love reversals, the understanding of karma became very clear, and I've had a lot of experience on being on the receiving end of that. So it's a really cool thing to read and understand. And then a bonus thing would be, not only do we have love reversals, but there's something even deeper called a love reversal loop. And those are very difficult to explain in a short amount of time. It becomes easy to explain when we're in the 10th, 11th, 12th week of the class, because we have learned so much about trauma and beliefs and healing and how it all works. So love reversal loops are so powerful. They are what causes cancer and heart conditions, aneurysms, and things like that. So that's the 8 concepts plus love reversal loops. I'm going to give you some homework. Your first homework is to learn to use the second love tool, which is called love time. Love time is the act of setting the intention to be in love for a certain amount of time. We recommend you start off with 10 minutes a day, and you can do anything at all except for take drugs. Don't take drugs for love time. You can do those kinds of things on your own, but not to do love time, because you want to be in control, and drugs do it for you. So anything at all that makes you feel love, you want to try to make yourself feel the most love you can possibly feel for the whole 10 minutes. What would you do? Some people would wash dishes. Not a lot, but some people. I learned to love washing dishes because I learned how to put love into every part of my life. You might pour yourself a bubble bath or go for a walk next to a stream. There's hundreds and thousands of things you can do to do love time. But the importance of setting an intention and trying to make yourself feel the most love you could possibly feel for 10 minutes to start is the same as doing push-ups to make your muscles strong. You know, if you wanted to make your muscles strong, you would develop a habit of doing push-ups every day. You're not going to start off with doing 100 push-ups the first day. Like, you don't want to try to lovingly smile all day for your first day. It's too much energy. Go at it slow and sure. And so also, you're not going to do it just once a week, because once a week isn't going to strengthen your muscles. It's going to be something you want to do every day. So you start off with 10 minutes. That's enough to start with for your first week. 10 minutes a day. You could call them your love ups. I'm doing love ups. And you can, like I said, you can do anything that makes you feel love. Be silly, be happy, you can dance, and whatever works for you. In the book, there's a chapter called Love Time, is chapter 4. There's lots of examples on 3 pages. There's 3 pages of examples of things you can do to feel love. And once you've gone through 7 days, if you do love time religiously, I don't like that word. If you do love time effectively for 7 days in a row, you'll be amazed at what happens to your life. It just changes things. Love changes things because you're not used to feeling that much love for that length of time. Most people aren't. If you are, congrats to you. That's awesome. But have fun with it. And you can do the same thing every day, or you can do something different every day. It doesn't matter. The point is to make yourself feel the most love you can for those 10 minutes. After a week, go up to 20 minutes a day. So you know what happens the 3rd week and the 4th. It just keeps growing and growing, and you get bigger and bigger. And it is a kick-ass tool. So that's your homework. And I would love to see all of you in my courses. You can go to www.thelovemastery.com, and it will tell you all the information you need to join my courses. You'll get if you join a course, you'll get a free PDF copy of my book, Growing Big in Love. If you want to purchase a copy of the PDF or a paperback, you can go to growingbiginlove.com, and you can get books there. So Growing Big in Love is fun, it's big, it is directly engaging the divine with you and within you and all around you. And I pray to see all of you in my classes. If this moved you, please share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching this all the way through. That's amazing all by itself. So join me and become the change you want to see in the world. I love you, and big hugs to you. Take care.